Japan, part 173, that they do not have the confidence to carry out the will of the majority against the egoistic deviant. It may be suggested that America needs all the help it can get in moving towards group cooperation. Can the Japanese model survive success? Before Americans begin studying the Japanese model, they need to consider the question raised by many Japanese and some foreigners as well, whether the Japanese model of the last 20 years will remain effective, even in Japan. The Japanese model, so argument goes, was appropriate to a period of very rapid growth when Japan and many other comparative advantages and receptive international economic and political climate. It worked when there was a high internal consensus about growth, but this consensus is now drawing to a close. Ordinary citizens are now more interested in social benefits than economic growth. And the new generation of youth, reared and in affluence, have very little interest in economic growth at all. The pessimists note that the growth has already slowed down. During the rapid expansion of the banks had high leverage over firms, and banks were in turn dependent on the government to help provide financing for new investment. Now companies have accumulated more capital and will undertake less new investments. They therefore have less need for the banks, and the government are more prepared to go on their own. The domestic market was lively when one product after another was introduced into Japan, but now Japan is satiated with all the basic electrical and other equipment, so the market is limited only to the replacement of old goods. Many Japanese goods have already begun to saturate other world markets, which will no longer be able to absorb products from rapid expansion of the Japanese industries. Manufacturers are fully aware of these trends, and no amount of the government encouragement can make them continue their rate of investment in modern facilities. Korea, Taiwan, and other countries with lower labor cost, the new plants, sometimes more modern than Japan's, will be able to undersell Japan on world markets in a broad range of products, enjoying the comparative advantage that Japan once did. Japan will therefore give up many of its labor-intensive industries to those countries, and the high technology sector, where America still has strength, and the service sector, toward which Japan is moving, do not provide the same growth opportunities that Japan enjoyed during its heydays. And as a heavy manufacturer, the Japanese system is as seen by such critics as in the jeopardy as the growth rate declines. Companies are heavily indebted to the banks, but when growth was high, they could easily repay loans. When they were expanding rapidly, they could hire many young employees at low wages. Now that growth rates have declined, companies have trouble repaying loans, and with permanent employment, they are stuck with a high-paid older workforce. With less expansion, they often do not have enough work for everyone, and disguised unemployment is rising rapidly. Firms are so strained maintaining the permanent employment system that the whole system is beginning to crack. The population over 65 has doubled in the last 25 years and is expected to double again in the 25 years from now. When the proportion of the old people will reach European levels, the nation will be confronted with a smaller workforce and larger welfare bill. Increasing companies' tax burden, reducing the growth rate, and creating vicious cycle. Then past the younger workers in the small and medium enterprises, temporary workers in large enterprises, women and other underprivileged groups could be kept under control by the government and the big business establishment because they stood to gain some benefits from the rapid growth